super simple, it's robust, it's $7.80 Canadian per account per month. It's really cheap, and their deliverability is exceptionally good. And it's very easy to add these domain keys to a G Suite account. If you click on this, what you'll do is it'll ask for your email. It'll ask for your provider. Now in this case, I'm just going to put other. And when you go continue, it's going to give you a domain key, which is this piece here. And this is, if you think of it like this would be like the front door key to your home. And what happens is the receiving server is going to get a copy of that key, and it's going to go to your server. It's going to put the key in and then turn it. And if it fits, it's going to let the mail go through. And if it doesn't turn it, it's not going to let your mail go through. This has to be set up inside your domain account. So if your hosting is on HostGator, this is where this will go. You actually have to add a CNAME record, or if you're on GoDaddy or whichever one, this is where you have to add this. A little bit of work, but definitely worth the effort. Last one is API, and again, there's nothing to do in here. API is a system of being able to transfer data back and forth between software. So if you wanted to connect a specific piece of software that you use for estimating, for example, and it has an API, you can set passphrase in here, and that allows systems to talk together. So for now, again, nothing to do here. That covers the setup on desktop. Now I need to change screens, and just bear with me a sec. All right. Now this should work, and it might take a second. Plug it in as required. Yes or no. It's installing. I'm going to let you see the phone app. So if you haven't gone to either the on your iPhone or your Android to Google Play or the App Store, you will want to add the app to your phone. All right, what is it showing? Screen mirroring. All right, so in theory, you should be able to see my phone. Someone give me a yes or a thumbs up. I'm getting a thumbs up from you. Okay, so right now what you're able to see is you're able to see the screen of my iPhone, and I've got my app running on my phone. If you come back out, the app is this one here, is this Keap one, and you will, I'm just going to let it go in. So there's this is the main settings screen. The first thing we want to do when you do your initial setup is you want to press the comms button down at the bottom, and it is going to give you the option to choose a number. And the reason you want to do this is because the app gives you the ability to have a second number on your cell phone, and it's included in your Keap app. So you hit I agree. It'll ask you to select an area code. Now I know for 403 is full, so there are none of those available right now, but 587 will give you certain numbers that you can choose from. So you have a couple of options. You can, at the top where it says create a unique phone number with a custom phone search. So we could, for example, put in here, let's say you want 1, 2, 3, 4. And you hit search, and it will search to see if anything is like that. There isn't, because those are fairly snapped up. But let's say you wanted one for whatever HOME spells if you want home, or dogs if you're a veterinarian, for example. You can just choose one. For now, I'm going to, I'll just take this 8755757 because that looks like an easy one to remember. I hit done, confirm. And you will now see that I've got that number set. So I put my regular number in, send a code to it, and I will just paste the number in, and that's it. So now I have a new line, and this number can get used for if you don't want to give out your personal cell number. This is the number that you will use, and it will always ring on your phone. So you want to make sure that your Keap app is always open, but now you will know that when a call comes in, you'll know whether it's a personal call or a work call, and you can also text from this line. So you're not having to give out your personal number to do texts. One of the things that we're going to be setting up tomorrow is going to be automated text messages, so that you can send that out immediately when somebody either sends you a question saying, can I get a price on this? And if you have the templates done, you can just fire it right out immediately. You can also have it set up so that if somebody texts you at 3 in the morning, the system will say, hey, I'm asleep, but I'll call you in the morning. That is all built right in. You want to, as you can see, you want to add it, if you are going to use this number that way, you do want to add it to social media, website, business cards, put it in your email signature, and if you're using Google My Business, which you should be, it should be there as well. So that's it for that, and you can now see I've already got a message, and they've already left a voicemail. So that is all there. It will give a prompt to set up your own voicemail messages. The last thing you will need to do on here is if you want to add a contact, you have 3 ways to do that for down the road. And the one that you may need to set up is to scan a business card, because you may need to authorize the system to see your camera. In my case, I don't, but the way that's going to work is you do hover it, and it will scan, and it will take the majority of information and it will plunk it in there for you. And the reason it does it this way is because it does give you the opportunity to edit it before it puts it into the system. So sometimes cards have some pretty peculiar fonts on them which are a little hard to read. So you would correct it, you would determine whether they are a lead, a client, or other. You can add fields if you want. So you can put in whatever you want here and change that to whatever type you want. So there are a bunch of ways you can do that. And that is that is how to set up the app. So I've gone roughly 45 minutes, and I'm going to switch back to the other screen. And now we got 15 minutes for questions if anyone has anything. Don't forget to unmute if you do, because it looks like everyone is muted. I can't believe I answered everything. That is impossible. So. And we are good. Wow. All right. Yeah, so I'll just quick recap on tomorrow. So tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going into the campaign builder, which is here. and we are going to build our own campaign. So you'll notice that there are already some campaigns pushed in, and these are ones that I've pre-built for you. But in order to get the most out of the system, it's going to be showing you how to actually build exactly what you want it to do. The one thing with Keap Pro is it is extraordinarily robust, and it will build all your automation for you. One is knowing where do you do email blasts. So email blasts would be here under broadcasts. We haven't sent one yet, so if we just click create a broadcast. So there's two kinds, one of which is text only, and these are the short and sweet ones. The other ones, the ones I tend to send more out, are text and graphics. So if you click that first, it will take you in, it'll give you a number of templates that you can use. I tend to always start with the blank one, simply because it allows me to build it the way I want. But if you wanted, you know, for example, if you like the look of this one, you could click that. And what you can do now is you can start changing. So recipients, for example, if you have a saved list, I don't have any in here right now, I don't think. So right now there's no clients in here right now, but it would search your clients for you. You put a subject line in. So here's my favorite recipe. And now here's where it gets really fun, is you can put that in, and when you hit merge, it will now allow you to put different fields in. So I can go contact field, first name. So in this case, it would say, here's my favorite recipe, Rick. And it will customize each one of the subject lines for each recipient, which is a really good way to improve your open rates. Preview text, this one's a little hard to explain. So preview text is, I don't know if I have an email there. So for example, here, where it says, Keap was granted access to your Google account, Rick. So this line you can change. So on a regular email, it will take whatever this is and it'll put it in there. But if you put preview text here, what this will do is you can now have this line show something different. And again, you do that to improve your open rates, because it doesn't matter how good your email is. If you can't get somebody to click here and open it, they're not going to see it. So you always want to have something up here as opposed to what will show up in the broadcast. Because normally what would show up in a broadcast, especially if it's text, is you'll always have your opener, which will be, hi Rick, comma, did you know that? So for that would normally show up in that text line. By putting it in the preview text, you can actually put the guts of your message in here that is going to get an open rate. You know, for example, did you know there are 3 ways where you could save 50% on your auto insurance if you happen to be Geico, for example. Use that whenever you can. Again, it'll improve your open rate. The images you can change. So if you had another image, I could change it. I can make it smaller. I can make it bigger. And I can also, you'll see where there's a link. So if I click this and I type in google.com, when I send it, if somebody clicks this image, it'll take them to Google. So you can put, you can link everything that's in here. Some images can be sharpened. So what Egbert was asking about, if you can put actual images in, the answer is yes. And you can sharpen them. You can also change the alignment.
Rick?
Decide.
When talking about images, what's your feeling on plain text versus image in newsletters? What's getting opened more, do you know?
Well, so as far as opening, it's the subject line, because until they actually
yeah. Okay, yeah. But I mean, so what's the most popular I mean, the ones I've been getting lately are all very, very plain text and just packed full of information. And
Yep.
so I'm just wondering, is that the new kind of trend, not putting a whole lot of images in there, or what's going on with that?
It's the lazy trend, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Putting images in, and it's the reason why they have the two builders. Putting images in with this builder is very easy. The thing with images is the image should always support the text, not the other way around. So if the text portion of your email is about, okay, let's say, to use the example of the throne speech today. So if you're, I'm gonna just think how I want to word this. If the topic is about how the throne speech is going to put your business at risk and, you know, for whatever reason, then the image should support that. So the image shouldn't be about, you know, the image should not show a picture of the Governor General sitting on the, sitting there reading it. The image should be of like a foreclosure sign on a business. So
A bunch of thieves running around, armed thieves?
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, as long as the image supports the copy, you're good. It's when there's a disconnect where it's just an image for the sake of an image, and those don't help. Because the image should be there to draw someone into the copy, not just for the sake of putting in it. Like a picture of the Governor General reading isn't gonna, you know, unless you're talking about literacy, but it's not going to help move your argument forward because there's no relevance to it. So it's always just be relevant. And that would be, why would an insurance offer improve my open rate? Not sure I get the question. You could unmute there, Egbert, and explain that one for me. So, any other?
You were flying through things really quickly, and you were talking about how these insurance rate offers would really increase your opening rate. I know that you were trying to talk about a different subject line. I was being a smartass. So.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's all good.
Slow down.
Yeah, I tend to get on a roll. So that in a nutshell is how broadcasts work. The other thing you'll see on broadcasts is there's two little side settings here, one of which is AB. I do this a lot. You'll never notice this though. So enable AB testing. This actually allows us to split test emails. And what we'll do, so you have to have a big enough list to make this work. So if you only have like 10 people, it's not going to work. What you do is you create variation A, and then you create a new variation, which would be B. And so let's say this one has no image, for example. We'll just delete that. So what it'll do now is variation A will go out, variation B will go out with no image. You will add your recipients, and what you do is you can split test. So you can say, take 10% of my list, split it evenly. So give 5% email A, 5% email B. The system will now look at the open rates and monitor them for a day. In this case, it's 1 day. We could do this longer. And what it'll do is it'll pick a winner. So let's say variation A gets 10% open rate and variation B gets 30% open rate. And what it will do then is after 4 days, it'll send the other 90% out using the B variation. So this is built into it. Now that was a bad example because you wouldn't actually see that the picture's not there until you opened it. But what you would change is your subject line. So for example, let's say this one, here's my favorite recipe, and the second one might be, here's my favorite recipe with their name on it. From experience, I already know that the one with their name on it will get a better open rate. But let's say it's here's my favorite barbecue, and one doesn't have barbecue. Now you can do a test using that. So that is in there. The other one is a spam check. Spam check is a it's built into the system, and what it does is it looks for words that are considered spammy by the receiving filters. So for example, if you use words like lower your interest rates, or Viagra, or free, those are all words that spam filters don't like. So when you click the spam check button, it's going to go through the email, and it's going to look for things that it knows are going to trigger the receiving emails to either put your email in the spam folder or not deliver it at all. So you want to make sure that it's always coming up saying your email has no issues, send away. Just a built-in feature, because we do know that email deliverability is problematic. So and that is broadcasts. I'm going to exit there and go back out. So for tomorrow, not tomorrow, but for Friday, what you need to, this is the homework part, is you need to find a list, and ideally, because of what we're building tomorrow, which is customer reactivation list, is you want to have a list of anyone whom you either should have or would have liked to have heard back by recently. So for example, if you're a dentist and you expect your patients to come back every 9 months and they haven't been here for 12, they would go on the list. If they were here last week, they would not go on the list. Every business is a little different as far as frequency. There are, car dealers tend not to see a client back for several years, probably the same for Bueckert. People don't buy a house every month, unfortunately. But for other industries, you probably want to be, you want to be hearing from people a little more often, depending on what you're doing. So that list is going to need to be ready for Friday. The list should include, so the information on the list, I'll email this out, should be first name, last name, email, and ideally a cell number. That's kind of the minimum information that you need to do this. And it's one item per column. So you'll have one column on it. So you're gonna do this in Excel. The first column will be first name, so you put all the first names in that column. Second column will be last name. Third column will be email. Fourth column will be phone number. Don't do what I get occasionally, which is where I get all the information in one column, because the system does not have the ability to break it out. They're a little clunky that way. And ideally, you can store it as an Excel file, but if you have the option and you got a little bit of technical savvy, best to store it as a CSV, which is a comma delimited file. And if you go into Excel, it'll say save as, and you'll see it Excel. If you click that little drop down, it will give you the option to save as a CSV. And that makes it really easy and fast to upload. So there was joke was well timed, but I didn't play along. Sorry, Egbert. That pretty much, unless there's any other questions, that will choose up our 1 hour today for doing all the setup. If there's any last ones, I will wait a second to see if anyone unmics or.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
$99 USD a month. Is there a cheaper, smaller version, or is this their cheapest?
There is, but the smaller version does not have the campaign builder. So there's no, You can't build the automation sequence in Keap Pro, which is $49 a month.
Okay.
There's a few other things that the other one doesn't have either, but the big one being the automations, and that's I've only had 2 clients ever where the cheaper one makes sense. It's always a matter for the $49 difference that we've always been able to justify enough new repeat business that it's always more than paid for itself. So, but you get to use it for a month anyway, and if it's not making you more than it's costing, then cancel. But if the automation is running, it should be bringing in a lot more money than it should be an investment, not an expense.
So if we import names into it from our other software, is there a verification process that goes through with the clients? Do they then have to opt back in? Do we risk losing a bunch, or like, how's that work?
No, so as long as you're using the same email address to the contact, it should be transparent. They should have no idea that there was a change. The only time there would be a change is if you, if you change the address, then they'll see it.
And then Keap doesn't make us do a re-opt-in or anything like that. They'll just take our lists.
Yeah, when we do the upload, there is going to be an option. There is going to be a little checkbox that you have to check off that says that the people that you are uploading have consented to get email, and as long as you check that off, you're good to go. The reason they do that is you have to certify that you're not just going and like scraping an email list or buying it from somewhere and uploading it and then having them send it out. So as long as you've checked yep, this is my list, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And that.
So Rich, this is Christopher. I've got one quick question.
Yeah.
And I admit I haven't done my homework like I probably should here. How different is this than a Constant Contact or a Robley or whoever, those automated folks that most of us probably use already? Other than I keep hearing automation, and obviously that makes sense because I want to work smart, not hard.
Right. So the big difference between and I don't know Robley at all, to be totally transparent. With Constant Contact, does everything that, I'll rephrase that. So Keap does everything that Constant Contact does, which is sending out emails on a sequence on timers. It will also tell you, when things are open, what open rates are, and that type of thing. The part that Constant Contact does not do is the triggered automation. So for example, let's say you put a link inside of an email to go and fill out a form. With Keap, you can have 2 things happen. One of which is when they go to the form, they can either go to the form and not fill it out, or they can go to the form and fill it out. So if they go to the form, look at it, and leave, you can now trigger automation that says, hey, you went to the form, you had some level of interest. Why didn't you fill it out? Or maybe you need this additional information to fill it out, or whatever that would be. Conversely, if they do fill out the form, now maybe what you want to do is you want to send them different information. And that's what doesn't exist in Constant Contact, is the ability to build those what are called when-then sequence. So when they do this, then do this. When they do this, do this. And that doesn't exist in systems like Constant Contact or MailChimp.
Have you looked at Constant Contact lately? It doesn't do your first example about sending the email if they don't fill out the form, but it does have automation, which is fairly new, I think.
Yeah, they've added. I haven't looked at it in about 6 months.
Yeah, this is
I know
fairly
that.
new.
Yeah, I know they have added a little bit to it.
Mhm.
But
Like landing pages and everything, I think, are new this year. Opt-ins and all those things.
yeah, they've been adding to it. I don't know. I haven't looked at it close, and I don't know what that version costs.
35 a month.
With landing pages or without?
Yeah, with.
Okay. I'd have to go look at it again. But I know the advanced automation isn't there, nor is any type of sales pipeline. So you can't trigger automation based on where they are. So if you're familiar with sales funnels, you can't trigger automation based on moving somebody inside a funnel, which you can here. So, but I will have to go look at it again. And it's just, there are so many of them. So I look at HubSpot, I look at Constant Contact, and it's just never ending. They're always upgrading. So the closest one I've seen to Keap is actually ActiveCampaign as far as functionality.
Is there a comparison table kind of a thing?
There was last year, and I forget. There's a magazine that does an independent comparison. I'll look it up. I'll see if I can find it again.
But then those comparisons are quite handy to tell you what you didn't know.
Yep.
To even ask if it exists, kind of thing. So I always like those kind of lists.
Yep. I'll see if I can dig it up and how current it is, because you know, once a list is a comparison's a year old, it's obsolete. So I'll see if I can find one that's fairly up to date.
So sorry, I think I'm taking you over time. The emails, people respond to your emails. Do they end up in my inbox, or are they going to be sitting in here?
Yes.
I could do either or.
They're both. So you'll see an email show up here in your Google inbox, and it would also show up. Where is it? I just changed the screen. I did. So if you go to contacts, and let's say I click here, and if Melody had sent me a reply, and I click email, oops, that's to send, it'll show up in emails here. So it'll show up in both places. So if you're looking for emails that you've sent to and from Melody, they will be here in the history, along with any texts, that kind of thing. They will also show up in the Gmail inbox, but now you got to do a search. So now it's show me all the emails from Melody.
Sorry, the dog's barking. Can you make it not go into your regular email if you so choose, and it just stays in here?
You'd have to put a filter inside of Gmail.
I use Outlook.
Okay, so yeah, and I'm sure you can put a filter inside of Outlook, but could you? Yeah, no one's ever asked that. I don't see why you couldn't.
Because I already have 1,000 unopened emails in my Outlook, and it's overwhelming already. I just wouldn't want to miss an important one, I guess is what I'm thinking. So okay. I don't know. Yeah,
so sent email will get tagged at, like, it'll show it as red when it goes out. So it's not going to be a notification, but if you have one come in, then you would just have to add a filter to not have it show up as unread in Keap. So you could automate that using Zapier. I presume that answered it because you're muted. So
Trying not to bug you with the dogs barking, but thank you. No, that answered it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Or I guess the other solution would be to get more discipline around my inbox, but that's a whole other webinar.
Yeah, well, the other thing you could do is just create a separate email address that you use for Keap that doesn't go into you. You like to have split your Outlook.
Yeah,
So
I suppose I could put my Gmail back alive, I guess. I could do that.
yeah, either or. And then just once a month, just go and select everything and mark everything as red, and that clears out.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any last ones? We're a little over, so going once, going twice. Sold. All right. I'll respond to that privately to you, Phyllis. And because I know the answer to that, so I will give you a call a little later on and tell you why. And that should do it for today. So thanks everyone. I will get the replay up shortly, and I will let you know what the link is as soon as it's up. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.